ready to present at the getting ready to start the peak performance. Hey everyone, welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. And I've got Jen Halpern in the room who we're going to talk about cold calling. Jen, I'm bringing you in.
Hello, Christine. I'm glad to be here. I love that opening music. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jen. It's so great to have you. And I would like for you to tell the audience what you're all about because you're some awesome lady.
Oh, that goes both ways, girl. Thank you, Christine. My name is Jen Halpern. My company is called Soft Sell Coaching. Soft Sell Coaching. I focus on two things: looking at the sales organization within a corporation. I focus on helping sales reps get to quota faster. And I focus on sales leadership engaging better, faster with their sales reps, which ultimately helps the numbers go up and to the right. I see it time and time again.
Great. And ladies and gentlemen, I have been, full disclosure, I've been working with Jen through Televerdi Foundation. And I'm telling you, you need to check her out because she's got it going on. She really believes in digging in and helping salespeople every way that she can. And Jen, I'm just so excited to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, cold calling.
I love it.
So let's just get into it. Okay.
Love it.
Now, question number one, Jen.
Ready.
As a coach,
Mhm.
do you think sales professionals struggle? Why do you think they struggle so much in cold calling?
Oof. Struggling with cold calling. Two things come to mind. Thing one, as sales professionals, we have a fear of sounding like a salesperson. Sounding like a salesperson. That's thing one. Thing two is a fear of rejection, fear of failure or fear of rejection. Those two things combined typically put us in a position where we don't want to pick up the phone because we're afraid we're going to sound like a salesperson and we're afraid we're going to be rejected.
So how do you not sound salesy?
I am so glad you asked. So it's simple and profound. So number one, truly believing that a sales profession is a valid and honorable profession, which I love. I step into it. I mean, truly believing it, embodying that a sales professional changes the lives and businesses of our clients. Period. End of story. Second to that, for me, it's mindset. It's stepping into a frame of mind, knowing that I'm going to be doing something I don't want to do. I don't like to do it. It makes me nervous and uncomfortable. There were the first few years and early on in my career, I was terrified of cold calling and I would sweat profusely. Why? Because people might answer the phone and might ask me a question that I didn't know how to prepare, what to say, what to do, how long should I talk, how short should I talk, what is my message? And it was all about, notice the pronouns. Back then it was all about me, me, me. It was me, what am I going to say? It's my company, my customers, the story of my founder. None of that pertains to my client.
Yeah.
So it's that realization of what's in it for my client. But prior to that, it's stepping into a certain frame of mind that I'm going to be doing something I don't want to do. So I created a mindset methodology and I use it all the time. I use it when I cold call from my business. I use it with my teenagers, my husband, uh, and I teach my clients. And called the SWAT methodology. SWAT, which often from military side stands for special weapons and tactics. This is my special weapon and tactic to step into something I absolutely don't want to do, sort of like cleaning the bathrooms. But it
I want
needs
that.
it's got to get done.
Right.
Um, so
And you hold your nose as you do it.
exactly, and I just and I'm but the thing is I'm so glad and grateful when it's done because then I can look back and I see the work that I've done, what's been accomplished. So can I just rattle off what does SWAT stand for?
Well, I would love to know because I may use it to clean my toilet. So go right ahead.
I love it. I love it. So, the SWOT methodology, my special weapon and tactics. The S stands for say it out loud. It's that
Oh,
simple. I self-talk out loud. And this is a cool little statistic or fun fact, I should say. Um, when we say the thing out loud that we're afraid of, that we don't want to do, it does two things. It enables us to step into confidence a little bit more and concentrate, and it allows us to be a little bit less anxious about the thing. Simply self talk out loud. I say it out loud. Okay, for me, it sounds like this: Jen, this is your hour of power, and I've carved out time during my week. You're about to step into cold calling, girl. You don't like it, you don't want to do it, and you got this. You got this. I say it out loud.
you
And
said
then
something
go
there
ahead.
too
Yeah.
that was important. You
So
carved out time in your week to do it.
that is so critical. It's the practice, discipline, practice, discipline, practice, discipline. It's so easy to get distracted with activity that we think is meaningful or revenue generating, but is it really? Is it really? So um,
A.
yes. Well, the
Oh, no,
S is say it out loud. Say again.
so W's next, right?
Yes. Thank you. W is next, and the W is what am I afraid of? Why am I
Hmm.
afraid? What am I afraid of? Well, afraid I'm going to look or sound stupid. I'm going to have a clumsy phone call. I'm going to have a lousy outcome. But the flip side is I may have an amazing outcome. I may actually connect with my soon to be new client, right? So, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid somebody's going to answer, whatever, all the things. Then the A in SWAT, I accept it. I accept that this is okay because we're human beings. And sometimes in life or at work, we do things that we don't want to do. That's just an acceptance. And then, lastly, and most importantly, is the T in SWAT, take action. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do? Um, super quick story. When I was 8 years old, my dad took me to Disney World. My dad was a big fan of roller coasters and took me to Disney World, our first father daughter trip. He wanted to introduce me to his favorite roller coaster called Space Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Space Mountain flies at 35 miles per hour and it's a 3-minute ride. And it's indoors and the roller coaster itself is way up high, way up high. And I remember we waited in line for 3 hours and we're
Wow.
about to step, I know, patience. We're about to step up into the car and I looked up and I was like, Dad, what are all those lights up there flying underneath? And my dad's like, oh, baby girl, those lights sit at the bottom of the cars. That's where we're going. We're going up there at supersonic speed. Aren't you excited? I froze. He had to drag me out of there. And we went outside and he sat me down and he said, you're scared, huh? And I was like, Dad, I'm terrified. Um, And he said to me then, and we still have this conversation now, usually with ice cream and bourbon. And he, when you get scared, baby girl, what are you going to do? You going to get stuck or are you going to do something? So, what's the action you're going to take? So, that's what I think of also. I hear my dad's voice in my head. It's time to pick up the phone. This is your carved out cold calling time. Baby girl, what are you going to do? I'm going to get in the right frame of mind. I'm going to take action.
I love it. I love it, Jen. SWAT. Now, what
SWAT.
I'll do at in the description area of the video, I will give you all of Jen's contact information and SWAT,
I love it.
so you can remember that. I love it. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
let me ask you this: when you start coaching a sales team or an individual on cold calling, what do you normally start with?
Okay, so to align, we're talking about cold calling, right? Which is typically the very first part in the entire full sales cycle process, cold to close. Whether or not there is a CRM or a documentation process or a sales process or a cadence in place, I focus on the mindset first, and then second, which is, ta- what does taking action look like? Now it's time to take action. So for me, it boils down to three things. How we take action to cold call is, what are the words that we're going to say, the tone in which we say them, and the pace or cadence in which we speak. So what words are we going to say? It's got to be about my client. It's about the client. It's about them. So the words need to be intentional, meaningful, and memorable. What are we going to say? And then the tone. Are we going to sound happy or sad? Are we going to be pissed off because we're doing something we don't want to do? Are we going to be embracing that we're professionals and we can change the lives and businesses of our clients? So the tone is super important. And then the pace. You know, we're living in this global world. I've got a client in the Philippines, in Lisbon, Spain. So, point being, the pace in which we speak, what is the bandwidth, the technology? Can they hear me? Can I hear them? The pace is very important. Pace when you're leaving a voicemail as well. Leave your number twice. Say it slowly and clearly. The pace in which you speak. Does that help?
Oh, that's so good. One of the things that I notice when I am coaching sales professionals on cold calling is if I always teach Jen to first take a deep breath.
Yes.
Take a deep breath, breathe from your diaphragm, pick up the phone and make that call, because when you do that, your voice automatically drops and you sound strong and confident when you're coming across that phone. Preparing before each call is so important too. Wouldn't you agree?
I love that. Breathing. That is so important. Breathe before you step into the SWOT mindset methodology, for example. And I would add, in addition to the breathing, smile. And I'll tell you, a
Oh
super
yeah, smile. Yeah.
smile, because our client can hear when we're smiling. There's a reason that smiling is contagious, is a thing, is an expression. Uh, my very first job in tech was selling intrusion detection software for IBM's AS400 green screen. And day one, my cube mate, Victor, was walking by his office, and Victor had a pop up mirror on his desk next to his phone. And I remember, I said, Victor, what's the deal with the mirror? And he looked at me and he said, teeth. I said, teeth, teeth, teeth. Tell me more. And he said, every time I pick up the phone, I look at myself in the mirror and I want to see my teeth, whether I feel like smiling or not. Just the act of smiling will then, it's a dopamine hit. This is one thing I coach my clients. It's it's a no cost solution. Everyone's got it and it sits right on your face. And when you do it, it releases dopamine, which is the feel good hormone. Smile, people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with sales reps that are nervous about cold calling, I always try to get them into the mindset of pretend you're talking to a friend.
Mm,
You know,
excellent.
just pretend you're talking to a friend. You're having a very casual, friendly conversation, and speak with the confidence you would when you're talking to a friend. And that way it starts to relax you
Mhm.
into the call,
I
you know?
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, let me ask you this,
yeah,
Jen. Would you say cold calling is necessary in today's marketplace?
unequivocally, unabashedly, yes. And here's why. Because now, when you just start doing blanket searches in Google, is cold calling dead? Is cold calling alive? You're going to get arguments for both. So it's up to the culture and organization and leadership. What are they going to implement and so forth? It's really simple. If everyone was at 150% of their quota and hitting their corporate goals, maybe we don't need to do it. But studies show that cold calling consistently, clean cold calls, um, can increase your business 3 to 10%.
Mhm.
3 to 10%, just the act of cold calling. I still don't like it, but I'm a big fan of doing it.
Yeah, I actually I'm one of those weird ducks that likes cold calling. I was cold calling for a small business last year, and I ramped up over a 2-month period, and I closed 26 deals in 9 days. I have a testimonial to that effect too, Jen. But the deal was up until that point where they just all started falling like dominoes. These businesses heard from me every single week on a regular basis, and it got to the point on some of them they recognized my voice and they said, "Oh, dang, you just missed her. I promise you, if you just wait 10 minutes and call back, you'll get her." And of course, I would do that and I would get her. It gets to the point that if you think you're going to be a pest, you're going to be a pest.
Mm, yeah. I just had a client the other day. We were talking about how many touches does it take to get a response. Um, I like to say it takes about 10 touches over 5 or 6 weeks.
Mhm.
The variables are necessary. What's the industry? Who are you calling? What level? I mean, all the things. Do you have any insight into their daily cadence and how they? So, a lot of variables in play, but it's the consistency, like we talked about at the beginning, that practice and discipline and the consistency of doing it and doing it and doing it, the taking action, making it just a part of your. I mean, every morning we get up, we brush our teeth. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Jen's got time carved out to cold call. So practice, discipline, and practice. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. One person that I landed, this was last year with another business that I was cold calling for. I finally got her at the end of the year. I had made 100 touch points
Wow.
through either voicemail, talking to her colleagues, and email. And she said to me, "Would you please teach my staff how to do this?"
Amazing. The follow up. And what you did there separates you from the masses. You were different, you were memorable, you followed through. I just saw a statistic, I can't remember where it came from, that 30% of reps consistently follow up. Only 30% of sellers consistently follow up. And that
Wow.
was across multiple industries. Commercial banking, commercial lenders, that's a sales role. Business development for law firms or CPA firms,
Yeah,
that's sales. Account executives for tech firms, that people, only 30%. Imagine how much money and opportunity and relationship building that we're leaving on the table. Yeah.
absolutely. So to close things up, because we're at the almost the 20-minute mark, Jen, what's one piece of advice for those that hate cold calling?
I have a challenge that I typically do with some of my clients because taking a step back, the hating of the cold calling or the overcoming of cold call reluctance is typically grounded in not wanting to sound like a salesperson and fear of failure or fear of rejection. And the overarching theme of those two things, this is my opinion, is confidence. And what are we going to do with it? So I like to give this exercise, this challenge. Go to a public place, a park on a pretty day that's heavily populated. You've got friends, family, babies, all the things. And find a park bench and climb up on the park bench and bust out in a song. Sing a song and see what happens. And 99% of the time, and I ask somebody to be there to video it and send it to me. Um, they get an overwhelming applause. Maybe it's even a standing ovation. And that experience of feeling insecure, scared, nervous, stepping up in front of strangers and singing can be very overwhelming and daunting, just like overcoming cold call reluctance. but it's the act of putting yourself in a situation where you're very nervous and uncomfortable, and you move through that fear, and then you come out the other side. And what that does to your body and to your psyche, that's a challenge I offer all of your listeners as well. And how was that experience? It's the confidence. And this final expression I love is that comparison is the thief of joy. Said another way, be curious versus judgmental. When you're picking up the phone and the phone is ringing, whether it's voicemail or a human being, be curious and remember you're confident. We're human beings.
That's so good. That's so good, Jen. You have a comment. Kirsten says, SWAT. Love this.
Thank you, Kirsten. Try it out. Let
Yeah,
Christine know. That's awesome.
absolutely. And Jen, before we go, um, where can your viewers find you other than at softsellcoaching.com? You're on LinkedIn. Are you on
Correct.
any other social media?
So, not as much as I should be, but LinkedIn and softsellcoaching.com, my website. Yep.
Those are your two go-tos.
Those are my two go-tos. Yep.
Okay, well, simple enough, and I love that. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you jumping on and helping all the salespeople out there, just giving them bits of information that they can use right away, guys. You can use this right away, and gals, guys and gals.
Inclusivity. Everyone is welcome.
Yep,
Right on.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So, Jen, before we go, I will just say this. Remember, sales is a journey. It's not a quick trip around the block. I'll
Mm.
see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Christine. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.